Hello, and welcome to Star Citizen. For today's episode, I was looking to find one of the missions that takes you to a space derelict and asks you to retrieve a black box and bring it back to a specified location. Now, ideally what I was looking for is one of these derelicts that was located in space, because that's pivotal to the whole plan that I have. From there, I was going to take my Super Hornet and use it for something that's a little outside of its mandate. What I wanted to do was bring it up to the space wreckage, open up the co-pilot seat, and then drop the black box in there, shut it, trap it in, take it to the location that it needs to go to, and if it's an outer space location, all the better, because I can just open up that back canopy, grab the black box, and then just take it, or EVA it to wherever it needs to go to. And if it needs to go planet side, or moon side, specifically in this build, I would just take the ship, open up the back canopy, flip it upside down, and shake it until the box comes out. I thought that'd be a lot of fun, just to take this ship and use it for something that it's not used for, essentially. And it shows you how you can just kind of screw around with some of these ships and use it for a lot of different purposes. But I went over to Cry Astro and I checked my Mobilas and I found this. This is a mission from Rudo, the second quest giver. Now, I've never received a contact from him before, or any summons to do a mission for this guy up until now, so I was really excited to see this. So immediately I abandoned my first idea, and we're going to be doing this. Now, hopefully it's going to be a lot like Miles Eckhart, where he sends you a mission to do for him, and then once you complete that, he'll send you a summons to go meet him face to face, which I'm really excited over. So we're going to complete that mission today, and next time I jump on, hopefully we will be meeting him in person and continuing on from there. So it sounds like he wants us to do some completely shady things, pick up a couple of bodies. Well, in that case we need to go and pick up a little bit more of an appropriate vehicle to do this with. So I'm going to head over to Grimhex, where I believe my Cutlass Black is docked currently, and we're going to use that. Because, you know, I want to get this mission done, I don't want to screw around, and I really want to meet this guy. So let's dress to impress, and let's get this done proper. And if we have any downtime during this mission, it looks like we're going to have plenty to talk about, because CIG has come out with more information about the Vulcan. They came out with some live footage of the Reclaimer in-game, which looks amazing, that I want to share with you. And they also talked a little bit about the Cyclone as well, so we've got that going for us. Okay, so I picked up my Cutlass Black, and has plenty of room for bodies in the back, which it even says so in the brochure, oddly enough. And we are more suited to do this mission, so let's get off and get going. Well, first off, let's talk about the Vulcan for a little bit. And one of the questions that the people had asked about it was, how many 100% empty small and medium fuel tanks can the Vulcan fill? I found that question to be kind of, marginally interesting, but I found the answer to be far more interesting, and for reasons you probably wouldn't suspect. And the main thing that they brought up was the fact that fuel tanks are bespoke to every one of these different ships. Meaning that a fuel tank for one size ship is not going to be the same for the other, even though both of them might be considered to be medium. And the exact example that they gave was the Cutlass medium tank is a different capacity than a Vanguard's medium tank. And based on the descriptions that I have read before, I'm assuming the Vanguard is going to be far more long range than the Cutlass is. Because that's like the thing about the Vanguard, is it's going to be a very long range fighter. So I thought that was extremely interesting, and the main reason why we don't have more specific information on what the exact size is of a tank and fuel mileage and that kind of information, because they're still really working on it, and ideally I think they're going to have the rest of the system, the Stanton system, flushed out first, and have a second system put into place before they can get real values on what would be a proper number to give to these ships first. And their specific answer to that question is that, to remember that the role of the Vulcan isn't to completely fill tanks. Although, if it were to, it could completely fill 8 to 10 or so small tanks and 2 to 3 medium tanks. And about half of a large tank. but doing so would require multiple trips with the drone. And on that same note, it was also asked, what is the largest size ship that a Vulcan would be able to fully refuel? And of course, once again, as mentioned, it's a hard thing for them to define at this point, but their goals are to have something around a Retaliator / Constellation size as being the goal for a full refuel. So let's move on to the thing which I assume everybody wants to hear about, which is the Reclaimer. And ideally, they could have renamed that ATV episode all about the Reclaimer's landing gear, because that was really the main focus. And although that isn't a very sexy title, it was very interesting. I think up to this point, it is the most complicated set of landing gear that's been put on any ship in this game. So what's the point of that, you ask? Well, there's been a lot of trouble with these ships landing on the uneven terrain of these moons. Soon to be planets. Soon to be planets. But for right now, just moons. And the Reclaimer seems to have the best ability to land evenly regardless of how uneven the terrain is. And I think that is kind of a feat in and of itself. And although it like I said, it's the least sexy thing that you can talk about, it's not like talking about new weapons or a new fighter or some new gameplay mechanic. It is something that is going to be amazingly useful in the long run. Especially, like I said, landing on these incredibly uneven terrains. And rarely, the only thing you never find in anything that we've come across so far is an open, flat field. It's always been, like, slightly angular or depressed or really hard to land in. And that's caused a number of different issues. And it's a bigger issue the smaller of a ship you're in. So this is like a huge major feat and undertaking that they've gone through. And quite frankly, I am very much looking forward to taking this ship moonside and landing all over the place. Because, I mean, my God, look at some of this footage here. It absolutely dwarfs an outpost. I mean, this thing is so big, they actually had to take some of the landing zone, or the landing areas in Olisar and extend them out so it could actually land there. And I think places like Levski and Grimhex are going to be completely out of the question unless they build into them these hangars that are big enough to accommodate for a ship of this size. And the last thing I want to comment on is the size of this ship in general, because that last menu I looked at, the second menu of options that it gave you was, I think, about 5 different decks that you can go to using the elevator. That's ridiculous. That's in one ship. That is absolutely amazing. I mean, talk about people getting lost in a starfare. This is just going to be on a whole different level, and I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Okay, so we are just about at our destination right now. Going to pick up some bodies. It's just like Chicago all over again. Yeah, the crazy things they ask interns to do sometimes. Oh, God. Okay, let's get this done with. It's for Rudo. It's for the greater good. These guys are already dead, and they're not getting any fresher, so let's step on it here. Well, I'll tell you, as grisly as the job is, you can't beat the view. This is absolutely gorgeous. Wish I was coming out here for a picnic now, and instead of picking up a bunch of dead bodies. God, I hope they don't stink. I just had the inside of this ship detailed and everything, and they're just going to ruin the decor. And plus, you just can never get the smell out. I think where we're going to be going is just on the other side of this mountain here. Then we can touch down. Yeah, there it is. You know, I really shouldn't sound so excited considering what it is we're just about to do here.
Landing gear down.
You know, the whole area looks clear, which is really my main concern right now, but In honesty, I didn't really expect anybody to be out here, but, you know, always pays to be careful. You gotta be extra diligent when you're dealing with these Rudo types. Okay, so I'm gonna have to plead ignorance on this because I've never done a mission before that involved bodies. Well, I have, but all you ever do is go in and you scan them, but not actually having to manipulate or move them in any way, so... Like, I'm pretty sure the dragging mechanic is not in the game yet. So I'm wondering if you actually can flip them on your back or something, or you have to do something else. I'm just kind of curious how this is going to unfold here. You know, I never get tired of saying how gorgeous this looks. You know, I came for the job, but I'm staying for the view. I mean, this is just amazing. If I had to bite it on some moon somewhere, this is where I'd choose. Alright, last stretch of the journey. Let's get this done. Oh my god. I feel like I'm gonna stick to everything in here. Yeah, I think it's quite possible these guys may have died of dysentery, not of bullet wounds. Okay, and I think this answers every single one of my questions. There's a body in there. Can you even fit a human body in a space that small? Well, I mean, I guess if you compact it enough you can, but I've never tried, so what do I know? Well, at least I don't have to worry about it messing up the back of my vehicle, so there's the plus there. Also, it's surprisingly light for its size. Okay, I designated this as the corpse side. All corpses go over here. Good cargo goes on the left. Alright, one more corpse cube to go, and we're all set. You just know in later iterations of missions like this, you're gonna have, like, other people showing up and attacking, maybe even friends of the people who were killed, investigators who are checking the place off, who find you dead to rights holding a body in your hand and wanting to pull you in and just being like, well, what are you going to do about it? You're going to fight back? You're going to run? Are you going to get killed? You're going to get captured and have a crime stat put on you? And what would even be funnier is you're in the middle of doing this and the local police show up. And then it's up to you to decide how you're going to handle the situation from that point on. Now, I don't know if they've patched this mechanic or I'm just getting used to working it, but I used to have so much trouble placing things down after I picked them up, and this seems to be a lot easier right now. Alright, all done. Let's close up and get going.
Engines offline.
I'd like to check my Moby glass and see how we're doing on our mission objectives. Okay, so apparently, according to this, we've done everything but transport the body off-world, so let's get that done. The last new thing that CIG shared was images of the Cyclone running around the surface of a moon, and back during the concept sale, I remember them kept pushing the idea of fun. This is fun to drive, fun to ride around in. Really, really fun vehicle. And although I don't doubt that it's actually going to be really fun, I had some issues with how it's going to be handling at first, and probably for a while right now, because just driving around in the rover, the Ursa rover, we were doing races with that, and it's not nearly as fast, or it doesn't have nearly the turning radius either, and that thing would seem to fall on its side and onto its back like crazy, and there's almost no way of tipping it back over again. I mean, we literally took about 4 people with ships helping out, trying to tip this thing back up onto its side to get it going again. And I'm really just kind of afraid that the Cyclone being faster and more maneuverable is going to be apt to be flailing around and ending up on its side and on its back way more than the rover does. And as of right now, they don't even have any ways of, pushing this thing or uprighting it into play. So I think it's going to be a very frustrating vehicle to be using for quite a while right now until they get those mechanics worked out. But ideally, like a lot of things, I hope I'm wrong. I just kept saying all they need to do is add one little thing into it, like Half-Life had when you go over to your vehicle and you just press a button and it just writes it right back up. Just do a little animation that shows the guy shoving it back, back onto its wheels so you can just get going again. Just some little thing like that would be just amazing and would keep this vehicle from just becoming a trudgery to drive, because as it is right now, I don't see this thing being able to get 5 feet before it ends up on its back like a turtle. And that would get really frustrating quick. But like I said again, I hope I'm wrong. I think the coolest thing about this little buggy are the wheels, which are very unique. And once they get these animated and working in-game, are just going to be amazing in and of themselves. And I think almost kind of worth the price of the vehicle just for that alone. Okay, so let's check our mobi-glass one more time. We're far enough away from the planet, and it looks to me like we have satisfied the last part of the contract and we are done with this mission. So what I'm hoping is the next mission we're going to get is going to be from Rudo saying, come down to Grimhex and meet me personally, just like they did with Miles Eckhart, and basically at that point we can scratch the second quest giver off our list of things to do. And just because I'm a completionist, we're going to hurl these bodies into space like we're supposed to before we bring this episode to a close. And I'm really curious if Rudo's missions are going to differ in some way, just like Miles gave the first iteration of bounty hunting missions out. And once again, I'm wondering if Rudo is going to give out different kinds of missions as well, like different themes, different goals to accomplish, something that's a little bit more unique than the general thing you would find being posted on your mobi-glass. I'm gonna see if I can just hurl this box out. I don't even think I needed to leave the ship to get rid of it. And here we go. There it goes. I didn't even need to EVA out. I could have just shot-putted this thing right out the door, which ideally is infinitely more fun to do. And with that mission successfully completed, we will bring this episode to an end. Thank you very much for joining me once again for another edition of Star Citizen. I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you again. Goodbye, everybody.